There are a couple of things that I'd like to focus on. The first one is what we call status. So for each individual hole that we have on the part, we have a status. Currently, we have a status of unused. Unused means that we have a series of circles that are along that axis, and we don't know what to do with them yet. So we need to tell it to detect from the pattern database. The second thing is that it shows me here that I have 155 axes, 0 are prepared for drilling, and 766 circles are unused. So the goal of this first exercise, preparing the model for drilling, is to get it so that we have 0 unused circles and that the status of all of the holes that we're going to see here are now tagged. So to do that, to get started, I will tell the system to tag all. What it's doing right now is it's comparing all of the circles in this model to the current database that I'm using for this demonstration. Just take a second here and it should come back and show us everything that it found. So if I turn off the model again, just to make things a little bit easier for you to see, and I highlight all of the patterns that it found, you'll see here that this is our representation of drilling. Oh, sorry, I lost the main focus there. Here's the representation of the drilling. You can see that the yellow are the intersections, so anytime that one line meets another, we'll have these yellow intersections, and these are determined by the order that you drill the file as we move through it. These light blue areas are what we kind of call the ellipse. So if we were to just pull on the model just for a second, what I'll do is I can show you, I'll darken it up a bit. So these are ejector pins that are coming through the front of the job, as well as some nozzle drops. And what we do is we find the high point for drilling. So there was an ellipse sitting on the part here, and we've extended that out to the high point of the ellipse to make sure that when we start our drilling, we actually start in the right spot. And we'll also see here on the back, there's a bunch of angled water lines, and that we need to have a look at those as well to make sure that we have the high point. And it's critical that we do this so that it's easy for the user to get the correct start point of the job. Also, when we're importing, you can see that it found lots of things, but there are 13 circles here that are unused. And in particular, I can see that there's a water line that looks like it wasn't set up correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go through the different axes that are here. So, it gives me a general rotational axis here. I'll back off the shading a little bit so that I can see. Maybe we'll turn the shading right off so that we can just have a wireframe here for a minute for a little bit reference. So if I look at the first axis, I can see that, individual items, if I pick on one, it tells me that this is a 2.5-inch guide bushing. It's 10.5 inches deep. It's a through hole. Its reverse macro is enabled, which means that we're setting this up to be drilled from both sides. From the front side, now in this case here, I think what we do is we come in with a long spade drill. It doesn't quite reach, so we put a longer spade drill in to finish it, and then we chamfer the top. And from the bottom side, we're going to do just a chamfer to finish off the hole. Same thing for things like the nozzles, right? The nozzles, we're going to do a helix in the front followed by a ream for the actual nozzle tip, and then from the back we'll do all the clearance and everything else. Ejector pins will be helical and drilled from the front to make sure that their location is accurate, that it doesn't drift from the gun drill or from the distance that it's going away, and we'll do the clearance from the back. So having the ability to be able to drill from both sides of the part is critical. So if I look at the first axis, I can see that basically everything is tagged. Tag means that we know everything we need to know about the hole. There's nothing suspicious, and it's basically ready for drilling. So I'll go through these one at a time until I find my missing hole. So here I can see I have 7 unused circles. So if I can't see it on my job, so if I click on the top one, this little arrow will pop up on the screen for me so that I can find it. And what we have here, it looks like we have a through water line, right? And this is pretty typical. We have several water lines here. All should be the same, and for some reason this one wasn't drawn the same as all the others when it went through the CAD department. So if I have a look at this, if I look at its next door neighbor here, basically I can see the list of circles that it should be. So I have the different sizes that I'm looking at. Here I can see that this size is different, and because this is a through line and it's on both ends, I actually have 2 circles that I need to adjust here. So that what I'd actually like to do is make those 645.7. So I take this guy here And I take these two circles. Oh, sorry. Take these two circles, and I tell it I want to change its diameter to 645.7. I say OK. And then I can just tell it to tag it, right? When I tell it to tag it, it will now find that water line here. The only problem that this water line has is that it's going right through, and it might be a bit of a reach to be able to do that. So what I'd like to do is split it in half so it's a little bit easier to drill. So from this end, I'm just going to move this one, and I just drag it by hand if I like, put it somewhere near the middle, and I have a little incremental absolute switch here I can do, and what I'd like to do is just put it at the center of the mold. So I say OK to that. And you'll see now what it did is this water line actually is split, and it goes half from one side and half from the other side to make sure that we're getting what we want. So again, the number of circles we have left are 6 now. Again, I'll look through the different axes, and it's real quick to have a look, just go axis by axis, right, to see what there is. So on this particular axis, I see a check status. Check means that we found something that we know what it is, but we have an extra circle that we can't explain. So if I double click on that and put my arrow up here, it will show me exactly what it is I'm looking at. Sometimes, because of the way the model was designed, we may end up with an extra circle in a couple different places. It's this one here that is actually the one that I'd like to delete, so I'm going to delete that circle. And it will tag that back normally. I'll have a look on this axis to see if there's any other ones. There's another one here, which is actually one of the nozzle drops. Same exact thing. I'm just going to delete the second one from the bottom. So that's good. I'm down to 4 unused circles now, and I'm betting that the last unused one is that water line that we had a problem with. Right. So if we go have a look at this water line, what we can see is that the water line itself actually has a bit of a disruption in it, and this might be on purpose in the design to see if we catch it during the demonstration. So what I need to do is I need to repair it. Same as the other ones, it needs to look like its cousin next door here. So now I see the top of the counterbore, the bottom of the counterbore, the start of the thread, the bottom of the thread, and then I'm missing the 593, which is actually the drilled diameter. So I'm just going to add another circle here, which is 0.5938. Say OK to that, and again, just in the right spot. And when I'm all done, I just click on tag, and it will behave now like all the rest of the water lines in that direction. So what you can see now is that I have 747 axis, because now it split the front from the back, so it knows anywhere that we had symmetrical holes like this eye bolt, right? They used to be all in one line, but the software knows now that these two are actually in line, but they really belong on opposite sides of the part. So that's why the number of axis increased. So we have 181 holes ready for drilling, 0 unused circles, which means that everything that we would like to do is ready to go.